Welcome to the stage, Gary Keller. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing? Let me see. I see you have one. Sit down. It's good to see you. Hi, we have an exciting day and a half, nonstop, right? Full of adventure, full of ideas, full of models and systems. A lot of people say, I've heard this before, but you never hear it the same way twice. Right? School is never out for professionals. You can't hear the right thing enough times in order to get it right. Yeah. Today, or tomorrow, you may be here for yourself. You may be here for the people in your life. There may be a message that you need to hear. There may be a message you need to hear. You're not here just for yourself. You're here for not only yourself, but you're here for all of those who are associated with you. We really respect and appreciate the fact that you understand. We wonder where the other 150,000 people are, right? Losers. It's interesting. Yeah, people say, I've been maybe camp. Maybe I won't go this year. And I thought, man, I should say that. I should say that. But here's the thing, and we're going to talk about it later this morning. This whole idea of how do you bring discipline to your life? How do you make sure that you do the things you need to do to get what you want? Right? One of the ways is you try to create a calendar that kind of manages you a little bit. I've been doing this a long time, maybe longer than some of you were born. And I would never stop doing this. I would never stop. The reason is because it makes me so smart. When you think about good God, look, we're the manuals. Good Lord. They expect us to learn all of this, right? All the interviews, all of the models, all the research, right? The amount of time that's put in by these guys and their team, and my team, in order to try to understand what hell's going on and who's winning and who's losing. And after a while, you get real clear about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. My hope for you in the next day and a half is that you're going to get real clear. Maybe you're doing exactly what you should be, and the reason you're here is to confirm that, so you don't go and chase shiny objects when you go home. Maybe you're here because you're totally screwed up, and you've chased too many shiny objects, and you have forgotten what really matters. Either way, we're going to have fun. How about that band, by the way? Yeah, unbelievable. Unbelievable. By the way, if I didn't see you yesterday at the CEO Summit, you're lost. It's unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. And not going to share anything because you missed out. So that's just the way that goes, by the way. All right. So if you would real quick, look underneath your chair. A handful of you have a golden ticket somewhere taped to your chair. Everybody's looking. Somebody found it. Okay, there's one. Woo-hoo, there you go. All right. There you go. All right. Okay, we're done. You found it. So, so we have my friend Giovanni over here. Good morning, sir. So, an amazing artist. He's here for the next day and a half, painting something. He'll do customs. He'll do whatever. His smallest paintings are 149, 249, 349. With a golden ticket, you get any size painting you want on us. And if you don't like anything that he did, then he will custom paint something just for you. I personally have 11 of his paintings hanging in my home. So pretty awesome. Thank you for doing this, sir. It's good to see you. All right. You want to talk about their download, what they have?
Yeah, we might as well get it. So, friends, we are about to put this thing on, and we want you to follow the foundation. One of the things we do is that we wanted to have the slides for the vision speech right there in your iPad. We did that. So let's bring up the all access pass QR code. So here's what you're going to get. When you click on this, it'll bring you to a page, and then there it's going to open on the drive. You have a folder for every single panel that you're doing today. And inside of that folder is a one-page model system for every single thing. So you're like, yes, we took the notes for it.
Hold on. Everything that we have in our notebooks, you have right there.
Yes. Okay. Did it work?
If we're going to count the 10, we're going to think about the 10, 9, 8. Okay. So you have a few more. You got to recruit. You have a minute. So one of the fun things is that Jason was going through the polls in my office. We had boxes of these antique things called CDs. And we have boxes of these things called T-shirts from all the charity work that we've done in the music industry. And we looked around and we said, you know, a fun thing that sure would be just to give it away. So there are boxes, there's a vendor stand out in the vendor hall, and just take whatever you want. Right? Until they're all gone. The T-shirts, the CDs, they're all yours. Have them. Yeah. Yes,
Amazing artists.
Yeah, so these CDs are famous Austin artists that covered the most popular tune from there. Here, our gift to you. You ready to go? Perfect. Haven't said that we should say? Awesome. Let's go. And as always in there, the first thing we do is take a look backwards in order to try to understand how to go forward and what time is the market. So the first thing we're talking about is so let's just remember again, the Fed wakes up every day and has a very simple goal, and that is to make sure that people are employed and that what they pay for things are as low as possible. That makes sense? So they're literally going to pull any policy, they're going to play with interest rates any way they can. If things are costing too much money, or people are out of work. With that in mind, let's explain. So the first one is GDP. So remember, GDP is nothing more than spending. Gross domestic product is just spending, right? So what we see here is we have a growth of 2.5% growth last year. Remember again that goal is 2. Anything around 2 is really good. 1.5 feels a little anemic. 2.5 actually feels fairly strong. Anything above 2 or 2.5, people are spending a lot of money. It's going to drive prices. So the Fed tries to keep that around 2% so that you don't have rampant inflation. Oh, by the way, look at 21, and you realize why we're in the pickle we're in. We're in it because prices, spending just went out of sight. Prices went through the roof, and then anytime someone they about a new price in life, they don't want to give it up. So even though we hate inflation, we sure do like the benefits of selling something. So if we look at what's going on this year, we're averaging out to 21%, 1.4 first quarter, 2.8 second quarter, about 2.1%. So we are right there. The Fed wants us to be. That's good. That's really good. As the second you start seeing that, they start saying, so inflation maybe is coming a little under control, spending is going down, maybe we can loosen interest rates. So we've been waiting to start to see this, and you are now seeing it.
Hey, Gary, on that slide, just because we just saw it, we're going to talk about recessions later. And so the definition generally accepted is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth.
Yeah.
Which means it'll take 6 months of negative growth for them to acknowledge we're in a recession.
You'll be in it
long before that.
Yeah, you'll be in it before that. You've had 8 quarters of positive growth, by the way.
All right, Ruben, this is your slide, so I'll let you.
So this is just based essentially off of treasury rates. And it's the New York Federal Reserve Bank does this. In the past, anytime, the treasury yield curves inverted, it predicted recession. This is basically a metric based off of that. So
What does it say, Ruben?
it says that based off of yields on treasuries, the probability we have a recession is at the highest it's been right now since
That's what you needed to know, right? Well, recessions are inevitable, yes or no?
Yes.
You know it's coming, yes? Okay, because a lot of people go, oh, a recession, and you go, are you a fool? Of course a recession.
Yeah, but it's no fun. That's why they see.
You have to have a recession in order to have a boom. You have to, right? So we're getting closer and closer to that. So what? All right. Unemployment. Okay, so here's the other slide. So let's check off. The Fed looks up and says, how are we doing on GDP? How are we doing on spending? They look up and they go, okay, we're right where it needs to be, right? Yeah. Then they look over and they look at unemployment. They go, well, okay, the number here would be anything below 4, anything below 4%. I want you to notice in history, going back to 1990, when did you ever see anything below 4%? Oh, wait, you pretty much haven't.
4% is just kind of like everybody is employed or moving between jobs. Don't they consider that full employment?
Yeah, so we have like maximum versus full employment. So full employment, that's essentially consistent with their inflation targets, right? If most people that can be employed and still have labor costs and prices. If you get below that, then prices start to go up.
Yeah. So, but here's the interesting thing, right? Here's the real tale. If we unpack 2024, we immediately realize, oh, okay, we're actually at 4.3 right now. By the way, Fed now looks up and says, hang on a second, we want 4 or less. This looks scary to me. So when they talk about recession, remember recession is people spend less money. People that are unemployed spend less money. Okay? So the more people you have that are unemployed, the less collective spending there is in the marketplace, and here we go. Okay?
Yeah, Gary, just one second here. The conversation they're having right now is this upward trend indicative that we're moving into a recession, or is it just us returning to normal, right? Because we
We don't
saw
know.
those threes are low. That's historically abnormal for them.
We will only know after it happens. Right? We don't know. The thing I want to point out to you again of unemployment, does it ever stay stagnant or the same? Yes or no? No, it's always moving, right? Sure. By the way, GDP, does it ever stay the same or is it moving? Go. This is how you get booms and busts, right? All right. So this is interesting. This gives you just a little bitty additional insight, and that is, if you go back to January 2020, notice that you had 5.5 million job openings and 20 million people unemployed. Yeah. We experienced that, right? Yes. Notice where we are now. We've got 6.8 million people unemployed, and we have 8.1 million job openings. So what's happened? Closer and closer and closer, right? Yes. Fed watches that. Okay. Now we get to inflation. Think of inflation as nothing more than the cost of things. So we have, do I have a job? Am I spending money? What am I paying for what I'm buying? And that's called inflation. Again, the Fed wants you paying as little. They don't want inflation. They don't want unemployment. Does that make sense? So they look at inflation and they go, unemployment's rising. And we don't know if we're headed to a recession or not. If you look at the Treasury notes, you realize, the signal for a recession would be there. We're going, look, we're already in a freaking recession in our industry. What are you talking about? Well, you realize that you fundamentally are the only group in the United States right now and Canada that is in a recession. Your industry is, right? The rest of the economy is not in a recession. So we're not talking about us. So the question is, when recession comes this next time, and it always comes with the economy, does that change what happens to us? And if you can go to sleep right now, in about 15 minutes, we're gonna wake you up. We're gonna tell you the answer. Okay?
If there's good news, like Ruben and his team look back, we tend to lead people into recession and we also tend to lead them out.
The
So
industry
we'll be the
does.
first to recover if history repeats.
So that's good, because this idea that we've been in a solo industry recession and we could come out of it and then everything could go into a recession, hate that.
Yeah, the reason that we are challenged as an industry, I don't know why we chose to be in this.
We're crazy,
Yeah, we're crazy. Yeah, that's right. Is because affordability is a real thing for what we do,
Yes.
right? And we don't control that, nor does the buyer or seller actually control that. At the end of the day, the cost of money will determine that more than anything else. Yeah, and that's not driven by us. And they'll play with the cost of money in order to regulate the economy, but it doesn't change how many iPhones you buy, or right? It doesn't change that, does it? Yeah. You're still gonna buy bread, you're still going to buy your coffee, you're still gonna do that.
Yes.
Yeah, you're gonna buy gas.
Because you don't need a mortgage for coffee. Unless you're in Vegas.
Yeah, unless you're in Vegas, that's exactly right. Yeah. Well said. Okay, so here we are in inflation, and notice, all you have to do is just look at it. It's coming down, it's coming down, it's coming down. And that's what matters here. Want to make one other comment that I didn't make. Up until July, we were on pace for 250,000 new jobs a month. And in July, we had 114,000 new. If you go back to last year, we were averaging over 370,000 new jobs a month. So anyway, I just wanted to point out to you, there's a lot of signaling about what's happening with unemployment. All right. I'm going the wrong way. You were probably going, what are you doing, Gary? Yeah, I'm just traveling. Yeah. So here we are. The next slide is really, I think, more telling. And that is, if you take real estate out of that for CPI,
Gets us right back down to like 2%, which is the Fed's goal, right? So I think the Fed, as they're looking at unemployment start to trend up, which is concerning them, this is on a steady downward path. And, just set this, what they're trying to do is this soft landing, which is historically somewhat unprecedented, right?
yeah,
Are they going to manage to get this down while unemployment comes up?
That's right. Yep. So bottom line is that if you take real estate out, they are way below their target. So they're looking up and going, all right, GDP is where it needs to be, inflation is right where it needs to be, but unemployment's going up. What do we do to stimulate the economy? What's the answer? We lower rates. That's correct. You've been waiting for that.
We've been waiting for them to come around to the idea, right, that what we have is a shortage of houses, right, and not an oversupply of buyers.
Yeah. So so just quickly, the items with falling prices, right? Smartphones, right? Used cars and trucks, toys, games, televisions, airline fares, furniture and bedding, health insurance. All of these things have gone down. At the same time, though, motor vehicle insurance up almost 20%, right? Admission to sporting events. You need a mortgage for that.
Yes.
Yeah, unbelievable, right? Anyway, you can see, just looking at it real quick, you can see, right? You get a sense of that. So let's look at the real estate industry now. So it's a local business. These are national statistics for the United States. Last year, we were at 4.1. This year, we were projected to be around 4.2. But the challenge is that we're actually not even keeping pace with last year. Meaning, if you look at the green, you'll notice that it literally is the same or less than last year. So unless something changes, we might, all of a sudden predictions change. And the reason why we're feeling it is a little tougher overall, you could be at 3.8. You were saying something.
But well, if rates do come down, you could see a non-typical year in regards to seasonality, which means you could have an amazing Q4. We're gonna need it if we're gonna get back into. the-
100%, 100%. Something's gonna give here. The other interesting thing is we always put up here on the far right, the seasonal income cycle. And if you notice that we're not following it, didn't follow it last year, we're not following it this year, which is again fascinating. Has more to do with the economy than anything else. The economy has thrown people off of their buying and selling patterns. And you're feeling that right now, right? Home prices, well, again, if we were on the 4% trend line, they'd be 357,000. However, they're, go to the next slide, they're 427,000, is the median price right now. Yeah.
Interesting.
And that'll come back down. It's all seasonal, so that'll come back down. The projection is it'd be about 398, which would still put us about 7% above that 4% trend line.
And that's based, that 398 number on a 2% increase from last year. The interesting thing, even you told us that so far it's up 4% here.
Yes.
Yeah, so past month data, we were at 4%. We are expecting the gap to start to close year over year in the second half. If they don't, then you guys are right. We're going to be looking at potentially 4 or 5%.
It's really, it really becomes the tale of a bunch of different markets. Because you look at like Austin. In 21, this time you had 2,500 listings on. Now you have 15,000.
Yeah.
And you see prices coming down.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. Yeah, the Fed would love to see about a 4% annual price appreciation on real estate. That's kind of the target. So we're 7% right now above that. Again, interest rates can change all of this one way or the other, right? So we're at a very interesting inflection point in the industry. Inventory, to your point, well, what would you expect to have happen? Prices keep going up, houses are going to start sitting.
Yes.
And that's a good thing. What's fascinating though is, so yeah, we don't have a slide for it. What's fascinating is between 1982 and 2018, there were only 2 months that we had less than 4 months of inventory on average in the United States. Between 82 and 2018, only 2 months below that. Only 2 months below that. We're all over that. Last couple of years, we've been in this weird place, right? In fact, we've only had a couple of months when it was above 4 months of inventory in the last 3 years.
Since 2018, we've averaged 3 months.
Yeah, we've averaged 3 months.
But what you just did is great, and we should all remember to do that as professionals. Like, we get really caught up in what's happening now, and what we always try to do is we zoom out, right? So when in doubt, zoom out and get a bigger perspective, and it's like, okay, it's just normal? No, it's actually not, and we don't know if it's the new normal or not.
That's exactly right. And by the way, why is all this important to you? Can I just buy a house? Can I get it for as little money as possible? And can I get it for a very cheap interest rate? At the end of the day, if those were the answers, you'd go, why do you need to know any of this? Well, because as professionals, there needs to be weight behind our answers. Right? Anybody can read the news and get information, but do they understand what it means and what could be coming? Do they understand that? This is what you and I get paid to do. This is why they want to talk to you and I, because we're not the news media who don't even understand what they're writing about, right? All you have to do is look at the whole NAR conversation to realize the media doesn't understand it all, right? They don't actually understand this. They think they do, but they don't, okay? Which terrifies you about everything else they write about that we don't know about.
Yeah, they should work on getting the weather right and then move into the rest.
Yeah. All right, we'll just slide through this real quickly and get to the payday. We're on pace, right? The problem is, remember again, you're about 2 to 3 million homes that were not built during the Great Recession, and we're not catching up, right? 2021 looked like we were, but a million is literally just the number, right? That just kind of fills the bucket back up.
There won't be a national solution. This is going to be a local solution where.
Could be both. Could be both. There's already the federal government talking about federal lands. But that's exactly right, Jay.
Yeah.
they typically will do something locally, free up public space for building to add inventory on local level.
That's right. If you're, and by the way, if you want to be a real estate professional, go down and start talking to your council members, your mayor, and start getting in their ear that if they want to solve affordability in their town, they need to quit waiting for the national interest rates to solve the problem. What they should do is say, how many, what's the problem? Yeah, again, back in the day when I got in real estate, interest rates went to 18%. There was bond money at 10% that first time home buyers could get, right? And that began to solve the problem. So locals can do this if you have the mind to go talk them into it.
You also, 28% of all the land in this country is federally owned. And they're working on political report last week that there is an act that they're discussing in the House called the Houses Act, which will start to release some of this land as long as they agree to build starter home type homes.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, go check that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You'll start seeing all of that. They're a little late to the party, but that's typical, right? Yeah. All right, mortgage rates. So here you go. So today's rate is what?
6.5.
So we're at 6.5. So here we go.
Good news, we're down almost 70 basis points from last year, and a year-over-year drop is kind of an important transition point for our market.
But I want to be at 3.
Would be nice.
Well, you're not going to see that. You're not going to see that in your lifetime, most likely. Probably.
Something has to go very wrong with the economy for us to get that.
You can see it. So
Your group is.
You know that.
Yes, that's good. That's exactly right.
So they're going to drop them. And by the way, depending on what unemployment does, we'll talk about this. Let's just move through this and get there. So you look at affordability and you go, well, crud, man, it's one of the most expensive times to buy a home. And the answer is yes. The only time really more expensive was when I got in real estate and when COVID started. And by the way, at 18% interest and 14 discount points, I hit my goals every year, right? I was not only successful as an agent, I became one of the most successful sales managers, became the vice president of the company I worked for. We started Keller Williams, and we became #1 in the market, all in a period of more expensive than you are right now. So I have a different perspective than a lot of you. And my perspective is, shut up. Get to work. And by the way, we have a ton of people coming across this stage today and tomorrow who are crushing it, who are outperforming the market. They're unbelievable what they're doing. And you go, wow. So remember, it's kind of like, I'll say it this way. When I got in real estate, I looked up and I said, wow, there are plenty of homes being sold. So I could hit my goal. Not everyone else will. That's not my problem. Equal opportunity, unequal reward world. Real estate's no different. There are more than enough home sales in your market for every one of you to hit your goals if you do the right things. Will that cause others not to hit their goals? Well, sure. If your team wins the game, the other team didn't. That's the way it works. That's just the way it goes. And I feel bad for those people, but I know that the reason they don't hit their goals is they didn't do the work. They didn't do the work. They didn't do the work. Do the work. Just do the work. Okay? So I understand. People have said it's really expensive. It's been more expensive. Yeah, and they can still buy it. Yeah. Again, I get people asked, I still get asked, is it a good time to buy real estate? And the answer is yes. It's always a great time to buy the right piece of real estate for the right reason. Always. Oh, look at history. Owning real estate is no different than the NASDAQ. Over time, is the NASDAQ going up or down? This is an intelligence question. This is an intelligence question. Is the NASDAQ over time going up or down? Real estate prices over time going up or down? So why would you say it's a bad time to buy? There you go.
That's the thing.
There you go.
You might be buying at the top of the moment, but you're never buying at the top of the market because the market's always going up.
That's exactly right. Really well said. So we get over-indexed on this, and that is the number of sides. So right now we're projected to be at about 5.5 sides per agent. But the fascinating, which by the way, is about half of where we were back in the Great Recession. But look, here's the thing. you're at the third best in terms of volume per agent. Third best in history. Third best in history. So what are you complaining about? Here's the problem. Number of transactions, which means if I got mine and I got it at that volume, you didn't get yours because it wasn't enough. That's where we are today. Okay. That's the challenge. All right. So what's really fascinating about this is just a reminder, we put this line up there before, that you have 86 million homeowners, and right, just be aware that 38% of them own their property outright, and 38% have at least 50% equity. Think about that.
That's 65 million homeowners.
Yeah, 76% of all homeowners have over 50% equity in their home. Okay, which is one of the reasons why, even if you saw pricing come down, they're fine.
And you're gonna see that across the stage today. You're gonna see people that have really loafers around unlocking that equity and cash offers and seller finance.
Yep.
Those are the things that are creating the most activity.
Yes. All right. Look at Canada real quick. And again, Canada literally just mirrors the United States. Sales are up about 6% this year. So far, pricing is up, home prices up about 3%, inventory down. Here we go. Same kind of story, right? So we're going to give you three scenarios, right? Because you say, well, okay, that's all well and good, but honestly, Gary, just tell us what's going to happen. So we're going to give you three scenarios. And by the way, again, you already have these slides. You did it when you got the QR code, so you're good to go. So here's the first scenario. First scenario is unemployment is below 5% and interest rates fall to 6%. What's going to happen is home sales are probably going to bump. That's a very likely scenario, by the way.
Yeah, right now, that's the scenario most consistent with projections in the market.
Yeah, which means that if you've been doing the work and you have the people in your database or you know, in your folders, if you will, that say when this happens, we'll jump, get ready to jump. Okay, this is most likely what would happen.
Yeah,
Now,
that's basically a slow, bumpy decline in interest rates.
that's what
Gonna
the
be a lot
government
more
would
now.
like. There's another scenario.
Well, the key to that scenario, by the way, is making sure that you contact every single buyer that you have in your database and finding out if they're rate sensitive.